Good morning, Patriots. JT here, Serenity Farms Prepping. Let's talk about staying in the state you're in or moving to another state that's freer, aka a red state. As you all know, I live in a blue state because of New York City, but the rest of the state is red. That's the largest part of the state, but New York City has 10 million plus within those 5 boroughs. That's approximately the same population as the rest of the state combined. Hence, our dilemma. So, I've lived here my entire life. Love it here. I am as far upstate New York as you can get without being in Canada. 20 minutes from the border. I have a nice secluded area. My neighbors, one of them, my dad, is also extremely conservative. My circle of friends is all conservative, or at least not libtards. This makes me no different than all of you who are of the same mindset as me. But New York is consistently number one in several categories that you want to be number 50. We just earned the distinction of being number one in unemployment rate. Thank you very much. Once again, New York City always bastardizes any statistics and polls coming out of New York State because that's the only place they take it. We all know why the New York City unemployment rate is necessarily skyrocketing. But back to, I am 60 years old. I do not want to move from here. But I find myself in an ever more precarious situation with the one-party rule in my state. Almost exclusively Democrat in Albany, which is where all the edicts emanate from. I don't see that changing. There's just too many libtards in the cesspool cities that keep voting in more socialism. With that, the state continues, at least through policy, to go further and further left. At some point, it doesn't matter how isolated I am. They will come for me, and those like me. There's many ways they can do it besides actually kicking down my door with guns a-blazing, which probably would happen somewhere down the road to many people like myself. They have taxes. They have illegal and unconstitutional mandates, edicts, guidelines, requirements, and suggestions that libtard people, although outnumbered in every region of the state, are in the positions where they get to make those decisions. So sooner or later, it doesn't matter how isolated and how well prepared I think that I am, it likely is not going to be enough. I could surround myself with 10, 20, 30, 50 other people of exactly the same mindset with exactly the same tools at our disposal, and sooner or later they will come. Potentially could end up like a Ruby Ridge situation. Now, I'm not just talking New York. I'm talking other libtard managed states that have a large number of conservative, defiant, non-poisoned patriots. This will happen all across the country if what we see happening in DC now continues and collapses this country, giving the Democrat regime the opportunity to bring in UN and foreign troops and treasonous U.S. military to declare nationwide martial law and begin their march. So I have contemplated moving to a freer red state. Texas, Florida, Idaho, North Dakota. There's many, the overwhelming majority. It's the two coasts that are the libtard cesspools ruining the country. So, I have many reasons for not opting to go to Florida. Texas would be very good, in my opinion. But I have a daughter and grandchildren in Northern California who are also contemplating a move out of that state. I'm not going to move to Texas 3/4 of the way across the country and then still be hours and hours from my grandchildren when I can move wherever they decide to move and be right there with them. So part of my dilemma is them finally coming to the conclusion they have to move. And then it doesn't matter where it is, I will go there. But I'm waiting for them to make a decision. And while I wait, my state potentially is growing worse and worse. At some point, if the Democrats get their way, there will no longer be interstate travel. And I will literally be a prisoner in my own state. Yes, I can attempt to subvert that tyranny. Probably not successfully trying to travel 2,500, 3,000 miles across the United States. Maybe if I went with just the clothes on my back, I could make it after years. How would I be traveling? I'm not going to be able to do that on foot. I could potentially have a off-road dirt bike. Do you see where this all gets so complicated? Now, I can't push my daughter and son-in-law to make a decision. They have in-laws and relatives there where they are that are also making their decision difficult. But it comes down to the bull crap we have to do and their children who are homeschooled, and when is dictator Newsom coming after everyone that's resisting? And the state of California is not nearly as well armed as we are here in upstate New York. Okay, so let's fast forward and say I've made the move to another state, a red state, and I'm settled in, and it all goes to hell in a handbasket, and the Democrat regime locks down the entire country, brings in the sociopath blue helmets, some Chinese troops, and the treasonous military. Eventually, they are going to also go for the red states. They will have military weapons. They're not going to be afraid to use them. They're murdering millions of Americans now intentionally to depopulate the planet. They don't want any red states. Now, a red state, even all red states still have a bunch of libtards, but not enough. So a red state or two could amass quite a force, but they're not going to have jet fighters. They're not going to have choppers. They're not going to have tanks. They're not going to have how many troops can be brought in or that are already positioned around this country. Does it sound like a far-fetched scenario to you? It shouldn't. So back to my dilemma. Do I stay where I am and see how long I last? I don't have any faith that there's a 2022 or a 2024 election. And by 2022, we could already be locked down if nothing happens with this supposed white hat plan that I gave up on a long time ago. So do I stay where I am and take my chances that something happens and these evil, sick, twisted tyrants in these liberal states get removed? Or do I move to a red state when and if the kids make a decision, and if there's time, be with my grandchildren and deal with whatever happens at that time? Now, some are saying, well, at least you'd be with your grandkids and your daughter. That is correct. That weighs heavy on my mind. But I would also be leaving a daughter here, all my brothers and sisters and my father and all my friends. So that works both ways. I am torn, as one could imagine. I'm stuck. Either decision I make leaves me missing an entire group of people. I know I'm not the only one in this situation. So I understand exactly why people have stayed where they are or moved to be closer. What do you think about this situation? And I would really like to hear if anyone else is in a very similar type scenario and what you might be thinking that you're going to do about it. Maybe it's something I haven't thought of, but I've scrutinized this every which way I can. Let me know, please. Like, share, subscribe, comment, notification bell. But for now, JT signing off.